Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning, everybody, and I hope that you're doing well on this. Let's see, what would this be? The 10th day of Christmas, okay? At least for those of us who count time in that way. But again, I hope that your holidays have been great and that they continue to unfold for you in ways that make you appreciate each other and this great place in which we live and all the people that are our neighbors here in our hometown. My guest this morning is going to be Amanda Bearden, who is with the Solace House of the Ozarks. And this is a new one for me because I really was not that aware that they were there and what they did. So we're going to hear from Amanda about that. And we're going to be talking this morning a little bit about issues of how do we deal with life when we get to some of the decisions and things that have to be made at the end of life. Because life, it has a beginning and it has an end for all of us in that regard. So we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute, and so stick around. We'll be right back.
I have arthritis in my knees, and it was just excruciating. I wish I would have done something sooner. I found myself not able to go up and down stairs, which is bad because we realized we were going to have to sell our house. We decided just to take the worst one first, and we did. I was back to work in 6 weeks. 6 months later, I had surgery on the second one, and I'm back to work in 5 weeks. And I was a little scared, a little apprehensive, even though I knew everything that was going to happen. But I was just impressed. Life is short, and I waited. I think I waited too long.
Well, again, thanks for joining us again for another Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning, Amanda Bearden, who is with Solace House of the Ozarks. So, Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then let's talk about Solace House of the Ozarks.
So I've lived in the Joplin area for 20-some years. I've worked in a variety of different organizations, different positions, office-related. I started working at one of the local hospice organizations, and that's where I met an amazing group of people. And in that group of people were some of the original founders of Solace House. And they recognized, working in the hospice arena, that there were families that were in need. And so they asked me, based on some just my organization skills and all that kind of thing, if I wanted to join in their mission to create this home in the Joplin area.
Okay, so it's a home.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how does that work?
So it's an end-of-life care home, and so it's for individuals that are near their 30 or so days of the end of their life. They are contracted with a hospice provider, but they just don't have the right place to spend those last 30 days. Maybe they don't have the insurance or don't qualify for Medicaid to go into a nursing facility. Especially now with COVID, if they're in a nursing facility, it's really difficult for family members to visit them.
Yes.
Or perhaps they don't have that ability to get that. Maybe, Medicaid is very difficult to get. You have to have the right amount of income, the lower amount of assets, et cetera. And so where do you go? If your spouse is still working, if you're single and your children are still working, those type of situations, who's going to take care of you when you're at that stage where you need 24/7 care? Mm-hmm. And you can't go into a nursing facility. So we fill that gap. We provide that care that their family would have cared for. The hospice still provides their medical oversight, but we're there to take the place of the family.
So why don't you say a little bit about what the function of a hospice is? Okay, because for some folks, they kind of hear those terms get thrown around, and you're a new kind of a entity. Like, say, I didn't really even know that you were there.
Yes.
And because fortunately, I guess I've not run into somebody who's needed that niche.
Right.
So say a little bit about hospice care and then how that fits in the whole picture.
Absolutely.
For everybody.
So hospice care is when an individual is in their last days. And that could be any number of days, from 30 days to 6 months to maybe even a year. And there is no treatment to improve the situation that they're in, whether it be a cancer diagnosis, congestive heart failure, any number of those type of terminal diagnoses where the treatment is going to keep them comfortable but not improve and make them live longer.
There's no cure. Yeah.
Exactly. So an individual can be contracted with a hospice provider, but those hospice providers, those aides, the social workers, the chaplains, they only come in once a week, twice a week. They make sure your medications are filled. They make sure that you're comfortable. Do you need a higher dose, a lower dose? Is that medication causing side effects that are making you worse? Those type of things, but they're not able to provide you 24/7 care. So if you're at a position where you can't get out of bed, or you can't turn yourself or roll over, we want to avoid bed sores, we want to avoid all those kind of things, that if the family isn't able to provide that care for you 24/7, what else do you do?
Right.
What else can a family do for their loved one when they have no other options?
Right. And that's when you guys step in and say, okay, we've got a spot for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how long have you guys been in operation?
Our mission began in early 2018.
Okay.
And that's when a large group of individuals, many community supporters, individuals from the local hospitals, hospice organizations, et cetera, joined together and decided this was definitely something that the Joplin community needed.
Sure.
We then attended an Omega Home Network conference, and that's just a conference that they have where they're across the country. There are many of these type of facilities or type of homes. There's different varieties in different states. Some of them actually provide the hospice care. Our organization, however, we actually are a social model, which means we're just providing that gap in the family care. And they still have a hospice provider that comes in. We're modeled very similar to what a facility in Tulsa that's called Clare House. And when we all went to the Omega Home Network conference, we actually went to Clare House and toured it, visited with the original founder, and got some ideas and information. And she still provides us a lot of advice and support on getting started. We rented our home in, as soon as COVID hit in March of this year. We accepted our first guests in June, and we've since been able to provide care for 5 guests and have them spend their last days in our home.
Wow. And it's certainly a kind of a different kind of hospitality, and certainly the unique place in someone's life, to provide that kind of hospitality where they can die in comfort. So like for example, can you give some examples? So like for example, for our viewers about how would a situation like that come into existence? How would a situation like that happen? Or what kind of concrete situations have you seen so far? Because I think, again, I'm just trying to make it as concrete as possible for the viewers.
So one of our first guests actually was, she was the primary caregiver for her mother.
Okay.
And then her mother passed, and a few years went on, and our guest became ill and needed care herself. She'd never married, didn't have a spouse. Might have had a couple of adult children that didn't live local, but her brother and her brother's spouse, who were her next of kin, were full-time workers. They weren't able to give up their job and be there 24/7 to care for the guest. So they were referred to us by, I believe it was the health system when they were ready to be discharged. Where can we, because they look for a safe place to discharge them to. Is your home safe enough? Is your home have enough care? Does your home have what's needed in order to bring this person home? And they were referred to us, and that guest came and spent time and the brother and his wife came regularly and visited her as often as they could.
Yeah.
But
so in other words, it's not like she was abandoned.
Exactly.
But it's just that there wasn't a place for her where she could receive the care she needed.
And the general oversight and just the love and support. Being there to hold her hand, listening to the music with her that she liked to listen to, talking to her. In the beginning stages of her time with us, she was still lucid in speaking, so she was able to share stories with us, and we got to know her. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end, we were able to reciprocate that and share those stories back and listen to the type of music that she liked to listen to with her, and bring her soda that she liked, and those kind of things as we got to know the family.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, in some ways, it's kind of like just taking on an extended member of the family.
Absolutely. That's exactly how our organization is meant to be. We are completely, we have all volunteers. So everyone that comes into our home to provide care for our guests are volunteers. So they have other lives as well, and they come in and they spend a 4-hour, 6-hour, sometimes an overnight 12-hour shift with our guests just to provide them that companionship and that love and that support.
Yeah. And so you've had only 5 guests so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is not like we're overwhelmed with the need right now, but it's still a need that's
Yes.
in our community.
Yes, and we've had to have a short gap of time where we've had to readjust over this last month, just to reestablish with some volunteers to try to build up our volunteer pool. Just because, again, as COVID has hit, we've had some struggles with that because a lot of people have not been able to. They've been exposed, they've been quarantined, they've been ill themselves. And so we are excited that we are getting ready to start accepting guests again. We've actually had to turn away a couple while we were getting reestablished.
Sad. Yeah.
We operate, like I said, completely on a volunteer pool, and then we also operate completely on donations. We do not accept Medicaid, Medicare, or insurance. So it doesn't matter what stage of financial life you're in, we will provide you that care that you need.
So that's interesting to me. So, so if somebody wanted to volunteer,
Yes.
or if somebody wanted to send you something to help care for somebody else, tell us how to do that for them.
Absolutely. So, of course, we have a Facebook page. Who
Okay.
doesn't? They can also reach out to us on our website. We have a volunteer application.
So spell it out for everybody just so they got it.
Yes, it's Solace House of the Ozarks. And
S-O-L-U-S.
S-O-L-A-C-E.
Solace.
Solace. Yes, sir.
There you go. S-O-L-A-C-E.
Like
See,
providing
okay.
solace
Okay.
to the
Okay.
family.
I got it. Well, that makes even more sense to me now.
Yep.
So Solace, S-O-L-A-C-E, Solace House of the Ozarks. Okay. All just spelled out. Each
Yes.
word spelled out.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We didn't go with any of our abbreviations.
Okay.
And so our website has the opportunity you can donate through Facebook, through PayPal. You can also go to donatesolacehouse.com, and you can set up to be a one-time or a regular donor. And we have regular fundraisers that we do online. Right now we actually have a cheesecake that was donated to us that we're doing an online auction for, and different things like that. So we're always looking at opportunities to gain volunteers and to raise funds.
Nice. So in that context, you never know when somebody walks through the door. As I'm always fond of telling families, sometimes just if you'll check their heel, there's no date. There's no expiration date. They're just going to be here as long as they're here, and that's your goal, is to help them to live as well as they can. The founder of the modern hospice movement said, our only job with those folks is to walk along with them, because that's the only thing they really can't do for themselves. They can't companion themselves.
Right.
So we just walk along with them, and we help them in terms of giving them that grace and that dignity as they walk toward the end of their lives.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So interesting. So Solace House, Solace, S-O-L-A-C-E. Yeah, it's spelled wrong on my sheet, which is part of why this makes much more sense.
Absolutely.
So I like it. So yeah. To give solace, compassionate care, which is what that part's all about. So again, my guest this morning is Amanda Bearden, and Amanda works at Solace House of the Ozarks, and we are talking to her a little about end-of-life issues, and so we'll probably get into those in the second half here, but we're going to take a real quick break, so don't go away. We're going to be right back.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, again, thanks for staying with us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown on this Sunday morning. My guest, again, Amanda Bearden of Solace House of the Ozarks. And Amanda, before the break, we were just talking a little bit about, what are those issues? I was having a great conversation with one of my colleagues the other day at Mercy, and we were talking about the fact that, our society just really doesn't really know. We're so uncomfortable with death. Okay, that we don't even know how to let people die. And sometimes that's really the issue, is how do we allow people that moment to actually die? Because it's really part of living. It's part of life. And we're very uncomfortable with that as a society, as a group. It's like, a lot of times I'll go to a patient's, bedside who's dying, and I'll say, are you about ready to give it up yet? Are you about ready to throw in the towel, or do you want to fight some more?
Right.
Because we'll help you do whatever you want to do, do you think the end's near? And I just toss that, and they're like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. And I'm just like, I said, are you getting tired? You're looking tired. Are you tired of fighting this, or you want to do this? So what are some of those issues that we need to, if we're going to help? Because again, some of our folks may not necessarily need your services, but some of our viewers, we need to think through some of this, because we're all going to have family members that we have to let go of and allow to move on to their next adventure.
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things is absolutely with the guests themselves, but also the family members. Once they realize that having them comfortable and in a place that's safe and in a place that's calm, I think it's much easier for both the guest and the family to come to that realization that this is the end time. There's no more turmoil. There's no more figuring out what we're going to do. There's no more, I won't say no more pain, but the pain is more easily controlled because they're being oversight by the hospice company.
Right.
And so I think it's just that piece that at least from our perspective, we're able to provide that.
And I'm just going to say this, a shout out to all the hospice nurses that I've known through the years. Those folks are so good at what they do. They really are.
Yes.
And they do a great job, because they're trained to keep people out of pain, and they're trained to help track that and to help that person stay comfortable so that they can do all the rest of what they need to do. And that list of what they need to do for some people is short, but other people it's a little longer.
Yes.
So, by being out of pain and being able to provide that and that environment for those people to have that peace to be able to do that is a real blessing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So shout out to all the hospice nurses out there. Some of you do some amazing work. It's just great. So that's one of the things we have to do is we have to give them the comfort and give them the space to do what they need to do.
Yes.
Okay. Any advice for that for folks who might be doing this at home or?
I think just as you had said, making it their decision, making them know that it's okay to make that decision to let go. I think that's one of the biggest pieces is, we've had family members come visit, and I feel like sometimes our guests, obviously you've probably experienced as well, wait for that last family member or that long lost cousin or that wayward child to make that visit. And I think that just letting them know that it's okay now. You don't have to keep doing this for us.
Yeah.
We're okay. And I think that's one of the things too that we've been able to provide at Solace House is the family members they can come and go as they please, come and go as they need. So if they wake up at 7 a.m. and I need to go visit my sister before I go to work, they can do that, and they could say that one more last goodbye, which is challenging to do, especially now with COVID in nursing facilities and in the hospitals. Yeah. So I think that's really a huge component of patients in hospice and then guests in our home. Yeah. is having those.
Well, and again, you've got the blessing of you usually, I'm guessing you're set up mostly for one at a time?
We have 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
We've not yet had the opportunity to provide care for 2 at a time, but we are set up to do that if an opportunity were to arise.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I just think that's that's so much more able to be managed, in terms of than as a nursing home trying to do it, right. Because, they've got 60 people and during this time of plague is like crazy because, I just tell all my folks, it's just like, I can't, unless you're dying, they won't let me in.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're dying, they'll let me in, but do you really want to see me at that point in time? If you,
right.
And again, if they truly are dying, of course they do.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. And then we don't mind going in, but it's like, but I shouldn't be in there either without, until it really is what it is, which
right.
is trying to help them in those last few pieces, the last few moments, stays, whatever of them being able to, to do that and then make sure that, we help them take care of whatever unfinished business they've got spiritually, if you will.
Right.
And
being in our home, not only are they getting the gap filled by us as their, not replacement, but their second family, but they still have the services of the hospice. So they still have that opportunity if they want to have the chaplain come visit, or if they want to have their local religious leader come
right.
visit them and things. It's very open environment. We have a mask requirement and those type of things, but they still can have that.
They can still
there
come in.
It's like home.
Yeah.
It's just like home.
Yeah.
And I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people may not know that, but not only are the religious companions of all the folks who are dying, not only, like, so if they're Catholic, they'll have a priest. If they're Baptist, they'll have their minister, or Methodist, their minister, so all those folks can come in and to do that. But the hospice groups also have chaplains that are attached to them, and they're doing that in kind of a larger, general way.
Non-denominational type.
And then they call in the specifics for the particular people as well. And again, a lot of people may not necessarily know that, who are watching, our viewers may not know that. But there's a lot of good work goes into the hospice industry. But obviously, this is definitely filling a gap in that regard. And again, you guys have resources, so you can. I mean, do you do kind of? I don't want you to make you sound like you're doing stuff that you aren't doing or not qualified to do or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I mean, here's the beauty of that. So you may not be a Catholic priest, but if you had a Catholic person dying, and they wanted to talk about spiritual things, well, you're a spiritual person. What the heck? They can talk to you, with a little bit of training, not to step on their stuff.
Right.
That's what every family member does. I mean, it doesn't have to be, the priest 24/7 there by the bedside, waiting to do. There's other people there that love that person and can do that spiritually too.
In addition to the chaplain from their hospice, but also, yes, we have our volunteer pool is very full of very strong Christian, believing people that are willing to be there. And I mean, you can have a conversation with someone about their faith. Even if they're Catholic and you're Baptist,
exactly.
You can still have that conversation. And
I would hope that it even extends now. This gets trickier for everybody. Like last week we had on an atheist on our show, okay. But you can still have those conversations. You just gotta back up from them a couple steps and figure out what can I do that's going to be helpful.
Yes.
Rather than proselytizing on somebody's deathbed. It's just like, oh, you're Baptist, but come on, do you want to be Catholic? No,
join the team over here.
It's like, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. But really, you can still have the conversation. You just got to get a little practiced at it. And once you've done it once or twice, you can talk to anybody about their spiritual journey. Because really, instead of providing the answers, ask the questions. Let them guide you on what they're thinking and what they're feeling, what they're experiencing. If they ask you a question about what you think, great. Then you can wade on in. But basically, it's just a matter of, well, tell me what you believe. What do you think is going to happen to you when you die? Because that's so many of those questions. And that's just a human being, heart, body, mind, soul, spirit, to another human being, heart, body, mind, soul, spirit. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's just, those kinds of things are beautiful to see. Whether it's a nurse in a hospital, whether it's a family member who's just never talked about any of that stuff before, somebody who's losing somebody for the first time, those are some amazing things. So you get to see some really cool things from where you guys sit in providing another home, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
You got any favorite stories so far?
The one that I think that hit me first was our first guest, the one that I was sharing about. Just knowing like what kind of music you could sense a release in her, when you're holding her hand and that music was playing and those kind of things. So just
what kind of music did she like?
She liked the jazz.
Really?
With so we had the TV on with the jazz music.
Yeah.
So and I've not because I do work full time. I've not been there with a lot of the guest volunteers, but some of our volunteers have shared some amazing stories of the connections they've made with the families, and the families are continued supporters of Solace House. They were at the memorial tree lighting that we had and things like that. That they just they appreciated that gap that we filled. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to realize that it doesn't mean that you don't love your family member if you're not able to be there with them at the very end, or it doesn't mean that you don't care, or it doesn't mean you didn't want to take care of them, but you weren't in the right place at your life at that time to do that. So why not let somebody else?
You may have little kids, and that's getting there's so many things that can happen. But again, sometimes finding another space is just as loving as providing your own space. Especially if you can't manage it the way that's going to be the most helpful for the person who might happen to be dying. which is interesting. Yeah, well, I'm glad to know you guys exist. Again, my guest this morning, Amanda Bearden of Solace House of the Ozarks. And again, if you want to donate or maybe think about volunteering some of your time, put that in your little search bar, okay? Solace, S-O-L-A-C-E, to give solace, to give care, Solace House of the Ozarks, all spelled out. And, then you can find all the other mechanisms through that, but that'll be one of your easiest. And I guess you guys are in the phone book too.
Yes.
So if you want to just Google it and say Solace House of the Ozarks phone number, that'll come up too, and then you'll be able to get a chance to talk to a volunteer to do those things. So again, Amanda, I just want to thank you for coming on this morning and telling us about this. I really am glad to know that it's there. As I like to have plenty of things in my bag of tricks that I might need for somebody who would suddenly fit that profile. And it's just good, it's nice to know that you've got a home that you're willing to share with other folks who might happen to need it. So we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. Don't go away.
Blessings and greetings of mercy to you. My name is Anna Nichols. I am a Sister of Mercy and currently the leader of Heritage and Spirituality at Mercy International Association. I love the fact that sisters throughout time have gone where they have been called to go, and they have often picked up ministries that they never intended to pick up. 25 years ago, there were 22,000 Sisters of Mercy globally. Today we're down to about 6,200 with Sister Rock and some of the others. But despite the fact there are 6,500 or 6,200 sisters left, there is an amazing number of women and men of mercy who are working alongside us, and that continues to expand and expand, and for me that is incredibly exciting. So as far as National Catholic Sisters Week, I really look at the legacy that they have passed on and the fact that so many women, men, young people are living mercy today. That really is for me what's significant.
Well, again, as I started the show, I want to reiterate the fact that we're not very good sometimes with helping people to die. And it's one of the things that we consider an act of mercy, to assist the dying when they're in that process of life. Because dying is a part of living for every single one of us. And we all get to a point in life when sometimes we just have to say, okay, now's the time. And helping our brothers and sisters who get to that point, it becomes very essential for them that they have people who are willing to walk with them on that journey, on those last few steps of life on this side. Obviously, Solace House of the Ozarks is one of those places that was created to fill a need. And that need was when somebody couldn't do that in their own home, that they'll step in and provide a home where the family and everybody else who's going to be doing that caregiving of the last stage of life can do that. So kudos to Solace House of the Ozarks. We're grateful that you're doing what you're doing. That's what makes living in our hometown special. So join us next week for another episode of Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.